All right, guys, it's time for a life update. And if you're wondering why I'm filming in my van today, it's because I felt like it. I wanted to film while looking at the ocean. And also because I wanted this to be one of those rambly, kind of casual videos where it's just you and me. And I'm talking to you about what I've been up to lately, some big life decisions that I'm sitting on, as well as some major realizations that I've been having about money, about purpose, life, happiness, and all that good stuff. And honestly, sometimes I get really tired of making those super polished finance videos in front of my perfect YouTube backdrop. So I'm just mixing it up today. This is going to be a little bit of a different video. Hopefully it goes well. It might be kind of long. Like I said, I might end up rambling. I'll ask my editor to cut out a lot of it as possible. I'll put timestamps below too. Feel free to grab a matcha latte or a tea or your favorite drink and let's do some catching up. Just to rewind a little bit, if you're new here, I'm Rose, and a couple years ago, I went on a self-discovery journey after a breakup. I bought myself a van and I hit the road for a year living in this van, just living my version of ultimate freedom. And that got a little bit old, so then I ended up buying my dream apartment in Mexico City, thinking that that would be my forever city, forever home. But after a lot of time and energy and money renovating this house to be exactly what I want it to be, I realized that I actually wasn't happy in Mexico City despite having this beautiful home. So I moved to LA for various reasons, one of them being my boyfriend lives here. And also I realized that I need to live by the beach to be happy. It's just like so important to me. So already a year has gone by, and so I just wanted to update you on how that's going. So far, it's been awesome. But one of the crazy things that happened in my first year of living here was the California wildfires. I'm sure you've heard about them. Basically, 10,000 homes were completely burned down, and a lot of the roads and scenery that we're so used to seeing in LA are completely burned down. So it just was a huge wake-up call, especially as a first-time California resident who's never experienced wildfires. It was like a serious existential moment for all of us. It was kind of traumatic, to be honest. And come to think of it, other than the fact that I'm feeling particularly thoughtful and philosophical lately, that was a key turning point for me where I really started considering, once again, what's really important to me, what really matters in life, and how I'm focusing my priorities. So when the wildfires started, luckily I had a camper van sitting in the parking lot not being used. So I ended up evacuating the city and getting the F out of there because the smoke was bothering me so much. And it was just super anxious and scary to be in the city at that time. So I took the van and went up north and camped by the beach. So I was freaking out because it was really hard to focus with all the crazy wildfire news going on. And you know what they say, right? When life gives you lemons, you gotta turn it into lemonade. So it turns out I was actually on a deadline to finish my book, but I basically turned this evacuation into like a mini van writing retreat by the sea. And ironically, since everybody left the city in that time and there was like no social activity for 2 weeks, that actually really helped me to finish my book, which by the way is out. It's available for pre-order. I'll put the links below. It's so crazy how these unexpected life events prompt all kinds of thoughts and decisions afterwards that you weren't expecting to make. But when I came back from that van evacuation writing retreat and things had sort of settled back to normal in LA, I was seriously rethinking some life goals that I'd had. Because when I first moved to LA, I loved it so much that I had set a new goal to buy my dream home in LA. I saw these beautiful homes by the sea and I thought, I'm gonna make that happen for myself. And that was my goal. But literally after the wildfires, I completely realized that's not what I want anymore. And I couldn't help but think, what if I end up buying a home? I make that my ultimate dream. And then a fire or some other natural disaster just comes and takes it all away in an instant. So I'm not saying this scared me away from ever buying a home. I actually already bought one in Mexico City, and sometimes you have to take risks to do things in life, but it just made me rethink, like, is this really a life goal priority for me right now, buying a home? Because if a natural disaster, like a wildfire, an earthquake, if those can just change your life in an instant, then we better be living our life moment by moment, exactly the way we want it, because we never know when everything's gonna change. We can't take any day for granted. And coincidentally, during this time, I ended up finding a documentary on Netflix called Our Oceans. And I spent a couple of days binge watching it, and it's so good. I highly recommend it. But seeing all this beautiful scenery of the different oceans out there and how beautiful nature is, it made me realize how much more of the world there is to see, and that I want to live. I want to see all these things while it's around, while I'm still around. Do I really want to live in this beautiful multi-million-dollar home in LA by the sea and not be seeing the world while having all my assets and time and energy tied up in taking care of this huge home, not to mention paying a huge mortgage. And after that wildfire experience, I was like, no. So this is a little crazy. I might be preemptively sharing this, and I'm not promising anything. But out of that experience, I realized, oh my God, what if I could live on a sailboat and be seeing the world while also living in your little home on the water? I know it's a little crazy, but going from van life to sailboat life, or van life to boat life, is actually not a huge jump. They're both forms of off-the-grid living. There's definitely a lot more that I have to learn to make boat life happen. But basically, all I'm trying to say is that might be something that we're going to explore. No promises yet. First step is to just take some sailing classes, see if I like it. Hopefully Jupiter is not the kind of dog that gets super seasick and he takes to it well. We'll see. But yeah, I've just been thinking a lot about how worthwhile is it to buy a home, especially given that these days with the price of housing, if you buy a house, that is going to be a huge chunk of your income, a huge portion of your assets. It's no longer like in the boomer days when you could just buy a house on a normal salary and afford it on a normal income. Nowadays, if you want to buy a house, it's going to be all of your assets or a significant amount of them, and it will tie you down with a big monthly payment. And maybe that is the old American dream, but to me, the new American dream is some version of freedom that I haven't completely figured out the formula to yet, but I do know it does not involve being tied to a huge mortgage. And it allows you some measure of geographical freedom. So if you're curious what I end up doing with my van life to LA, to Mexico City, to boat life, or potentially boat life, this is the type of personal real-time updates that I share in my email newsletter, Call to Freedom. There I share my tips for financial freedom, money and investing advice, and just my thoughts and life musings in real time. So I'll put the link below to sign up so you can stay in the loop. Back to what I was saying earlier, I might have gotten a bit off track. So in the backdrop of all this happening, these life decisions, moving to LA, the wildfires, looking into sailboats, I have been working on my book. That's right, your girl wrote a book. I am now officially a published author, and honestly, I still can't believe that I'm saying that out loud. So I wanted to talk a little bit about my book journey and why I decided to write this. Writing a book is single-handedly the hardest thing I've ever done. I haven't given birth yet. I would imagine that's harder than writing a book, but other than that, I can't imagine anything being harder than writing a book. Because ever since I was a teenager, I remember I would go into Barnes & Noble and spend hours and hours just looking through books in the self-help section, looking for information and ways to improve my life. And these books are where I learned a lot of the stuff I know today about money, about relationships, health, everything that made my life awesome. I feel like I first learned about it in a book. So it was always a dream of mine to pay it forward with a book of my own one day. So At a Zero, a step-by-step guide to financial freedom and getting to your first million, I decided to write this book because I know better than anyone how stressful money can be and how disempowering it can feel when you're not in control of your finances. I know better than anyone because when I was super in debt, just totally blind about my finances, I really felt so shitty about myself. I felt like I had no options for my life. Like I had all these dreams for my life, but none of them were going to be possible because my finances were so shitty. But I just want people to know that if they have the tools, the right information, the right roadmap, and the right mindset, that you can take control of your finances and create financial freedom. So I wrote this book for that version of me that really could have used this kind of roadmap so that I can enjoy the kind of freedom that I enjoy today. So that's my little book backstory. It would mean so much to me if you grabbed a copy of the book. You can go to atazero.com and I hope that you love it. Now it's time for a little business update. The other day, I realized that I have been on YouTube and doing this for 7 years, or at least I'm in my 7th year. When I realized that, I was like, holy shit, I'm actually an OG on this platform. And it means so much to me because this channel, I'm getting emotional. Did not expect that. But yes, it means so much to me because this channel, oh God. Why am I getting so emotional? It means so much to me. You mean so much to me. Don't think I can get through this without crying. Anyway, as I was saying, this channel and you mean so much to me because after 7 years, okay, I don't want to tear up. Okay, of course someone would be blasting music in the parking lot right next to me while I'm trying to film a YouTube video. Little Jupiter here too. Come here. Say hi. Mwah. Anyway, as I was saying, this channel and you mean so much to me because you guys have seen so much of my evolution in my life, so many phases, and you guys have basically grown with me. All this to say, YouTube has been an amazing journey, and along the way, I even launched a few courses, which a lot of you guys have taken. I've been able to serve thousands of people through my online courses about investing and money. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. You make my life incredibly fulfilling and meaningful. The crazy thing is, I never set out for any of this to become as big as it has. Around the time I'm recording this video, my channel is about to hit 1 million subscribers. It's just wild to me. And the courses that I've launched, they have done even better than I could ever have imagined. And to be honest, I wasn't ready for that amount of success. It was obviously incredibly validating, but I didn't know what to do with it because I only set out to make a decent living. I never set out to become a millionaire, but by doing the right moves, by doing certain things, I got here. And that is some of what I talk about and share in the book. But because I wasn't ready to handle this level of business and visibility, the last few years have been a little bit of a struggle on the business front, to be honest. I'm so used to being a solopreneur, hustling, grinding, and doing everything by myself. So I've really had to learn to delegate, to work with a team and have boundaries on my time, to be more intentional about building systems and basically conducting myself like a real CEO. Not just some YouTuber who makes random videos and courses online. And the reason why I'm stepping back to kind of rebuild my business from the ground up in a way that feels good to me, that's sustainable, is because I want to be doing this for a very long time. Even though theoretically I don't have to work. If I didn't want to, I could live a pretty minimalist lifestyle on some of the passive income from my investments, but I genuinely do love what I get to do, but I also don't want to burn out. I need to find a way to make it sustainable and enjoyable for a very long period of time. I truly believe I'll still be making YouTube videos as a grandma in my 70s, 80s. That'll be really fun to see if that ends up happening. And it'll be even cooler to see which of you guys stick around for that long too. That'll be hilarious. We'll be old together. So yeah, whatever you do, no matter how much you love it, has to be sustainable. So speaking of which, some big life decisions that I'm sitting on right now. So I'm really working with my team to start moving towards a 4-day work week, working Monday through Thursday, because I'm really about just breaking through norms, forgetting the status quo, creating our own definition of freedom and success. So who's to say that the work week has to be from Monday to Friday? Like, who decided that? Why can't it be from Monday to Thursday and we just cut out all the, what do they call it? The water cooler chit chat and just be super productive and efficient Monday through Thursday so that we can all have a 4-day weekend. I really think if we are smart about using AI and just be really focused with our energy, I fully believe that my team and I can move to a 4-day work week without reducing output. We'll see though. I'll keep you posted on that. And of course, the other huge major life decision that I'm thinking about is I'm 36 now, and I never thought I would say this, but I'm really considering the next phase of my life, which is how I want to become a mom. I think once you meet the right person, and I have the most amazing partner ever. He's so supportive and we're so compatible. And you find a city that you genuinely love and you start building that community around you and you feel rooted. Maybe that is the next logical kind of emotional step in your life, which is where you feel ready to start a family. Which brings me to the next big life thing that I've been pondering, which is when do you know when enough is enough? How do you define your enough point? I've been asking that question for myself because one of the trippy things about writing a book is that every author's dream is to become a New York Times bestseller. You know, like that is the gold standard. That's like the ultimate in achievement for pretty much anything you can do in life, especially as an author. And so even though I'm really not all that about titles and awards, I can't help but want this book to hit New York Times bestseller. Actually, for the last few months, I've been really stressing myself out about hitting that because it's like such a finite outcome and you've got one shot. There's a lot of pressure. I actually decided I'm obviously going to take the actions, do the things that I need to do to make it possible for me to get there. But I'm also not going to kill myself. I'm very clear on my boundaries that I don't want to kill myself from now until September 2nd. That's still 4 months of my life. I have a once in a lifetime trip to Europe planned this summer. We're going to go to Tomorrowland, which has been on my life bucket list for a long time. We're going to spend Bastille Day in Paris. Like, I don't want to compromise my summer and be stressed the entire time and miss out on this once in a lifetime vacation because I'm so set on hitting New York Times bestseller. So I've decided to just, let go of the outcome to the universe. I'm definitely going to do the actions, do everything I can to get there and make this book a success and get this message out to the world in a big way. But I've also realized, like, my enough point, I'm already there. Like, once you hit a certain vantage point, it's too easy to keep moving that vantage point and saying, well, now that I'm here, now I want this. Now that I'm here, I want that. And like I said, even just hitting 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, that was like beyond my wildest dreams at some point. Now I'm close to 1 million and now I'm like, now I have to have a New York Times bestseller? No way. Like, I just decided, Rose, it's okay. You can still go for big things, but if you don't get there, don't sacrifice your happiness in the near term to keep reaching the next goalpost. Because one thing that I've realized is no amount of money or accolades is going to make you feel secure. No amount of money is going to make you feel worthy. Like, I'm speaking from personal experience because I'm totally guilty of this. I've been chasing bigger revenue goals, awards and subscribers and views and all these vanity metrics and outward displays of success, like a big house in LA and all these things. But I realized, you know what? I'm good enough as it is. So I'm going to stop chasing whatever I'm trying to chase to try and fill up what's missing inside and just give myself what I'm missing. Give that to myself. So the big question that I've been pondering, and here's philosophical Rose coming out, is what if we made decisions for people and happiness and not for money? Like, what would the world look like? What would our lives look like if we did that? Because blame capitalism and the stresses of daily life and just the financial pressures. But am I correct to say that a lot of the big life decisions we make are primarily driven by financial factors? Like, you move to a new city for another big job opportunity. You move to a different place to buy a home that's actually affordable. Or you move somewhere for its lower cost of living. I'm guilty of that myself. I moved to Mexico City partly because it was fairly cheap to live in. But obviously, this way of living is clearly not working because so many of us are feeling lonely. I saw a statistic, 44% of young adults report a sense of not mattering to anyone, and 34% reported loneliness. That's like a third of people feeling lonely right now. So I've been doing sort of these thought experiments about what my life could look like if I started making decisions for joy and connection and love instead of for money. Like, living in California straight up is not financially responsible. It's really expensive to live here. We would probably do a lot better somewhere in a cheaper country or state, but I've built some amazing friendships here and I don't want to move because that would mean uprooting my community, which to me is worth a lot more than whatever cost savings I would benefit from by moving to a cheaper city. Something that's not valued enough is the idea of relationship capital, like social capital, over just financial capital. Because if you have the right relationships around you, like the other week I had my mom visit me and I was imagining what it would be like for her if she lived here in LA. And I'm hoping to move her to LA one day so she can live nearby. But during that week, I had a loving mom who basically cooked all these delicious, healthy meals for me. Like, that's the type of support you can have when you have loved ones in your life. Versus if she wasn't here, I'd basically have to pay a helper to come cook meals for me and they wouldn't didn't do it with half the love and care that my mom did. And I see this a lot with my boyfriend. He's amazing with his friends and they help each other out so much. They give each other rides to the airport. They'll come get each other if one of them gets locked out of their car in the middle of the night. All of these things, if you don't have friends that you can call in the middle of the night, you would have to call an expensive locksmith or an expensive Uber to take care of these things for you. So that's all I wanted to say. Life is not all about making financially intelligent decisions. It's not always about math and what makes sense financially. Sometimes it's what makes sense for you emotionally and for your relationships. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's one decision that you made that was not necessarily financially smart, but it actually made you really happy? And so in that sense, it ended up being worth it. For me, definitely buying this camper van was not financially smart, especially now that I'm not living in it. It's sitting here unused for most of the week, but it's also the thing that has given me the most happiness, helped me grow the most and discover myself as a person. So I don't care what anyone says, it's the smartest purchase I ever made in my life. And in keeping with that vibe that I'm really trying to embody these days, I've been making a really good effort to stop my workday before sunset and go do things that are fun, like joining a dance team. We'll see how that goes because I'm probably the least experienced dancer on that team. Hey, it's gonna be fun, so I'm gonna try it. And I've also been doing stuff like reading fiction at night instead of like productivity and money and business books. You know, just reading for the fun of it, for the joy, like feeling like a kid again. Anyway, that I think is everything I wanted to say. Thanks so much if you're still here. I hope that you got something out of it. And of course, if you feel called, feel free to grab a copy of my book. It's available for pre-order. It would mean the world to me. And just thank you. Thank you for being here. And I really appreciate you. Until next time. Bye.